Picture this. It's 1939. A French archaeologist deep in the Egyptian delta lifts the lid of a heavy, solid silver coffin. Beneath it, gleaming in the torchlight, is a perfect, serene face mask made of pure gold. It's a breathtaking find, a royal burial untouched for nearly 3,000 years. This discovery should have electrified the world, but it didn't. Why? Because in the very same week, Hitler's forces invaded Poland, plunging Europe into the Second World War. The story of a lifetime, a treasure trove that could rival Tutankhamun's, was buried again, this time by newspaper headlines screaming of conflict. This is the incredible story of the lost pharaohs of Tanis, a discovery so immense it was dubbed bigger than Tut, yet almost completely forgotten by history. Our story begins not in the well-trodden sands of the Valley of the Kings, but in the marshy, humid Nile Delta at a site called Tanis. For years, archaeologists had been puzzled by this place. It was littered with the ruins of colossal statues and temples bearing the names of famous pharaohs like Ramesses the Great, but something was off. The geology didn't quite fit. The French excavator, Pierre Montet, had a radical theory. He believed that the original great capital of Ramesses, Pyramesses, had been dismantled block by block and moved to this new location, Tanis, when the Nile's course shifted. He was convinced that if Tanis was the new capital, it must also be the new royal necropolis. For over a decade, Montet and his team dug through the mud and sand of Tanis. The work was grueling, a far cry from the dry, preserving heat of southern Egypt. They found temples, statues, and the outlines of a great city, but the royal tombs remained elusive. By 1938, after nearly 10 years of searching with little to show for it, his funding was dwindling and his crew was losing hope. Many urged him to abandon the site. But Montet was stubborn. He felt he was close. He decided to focus his efforts on a small, unassuming corner of the Great Temple of Amun, betting everything on one last hunch. And then, in February 1939, they found it. Not a grand entrance, but a simple, hidden shaft leading down into the earth. As they cleared the debris, they uncovered a series of burial chambers, completely intact. The first tomb belonged to a pharaoh named Osorkon. While it had been partially disturbed in antiquity, it was still filled with incredible artifacts. This was already a major discovery, but it was just the beginning. Deeper inside the complex, they found another, completely sealed chamber. Carved above the entrance was the name of a pharaoh barely known to history, Susens I. With trembling hands, Montet's team broke through the granite wall. The air inside, sealed for 3 millennia, was still. Before them lay a scene of unimaginable splendor. The chamber was packed with treasures, but the centerpiece was the sarcophagus. It was a massive pink granite sarcophagus, originally made for a different pharaoh, Merinta, the son of Ramesses the Great, but inside that was another coffin made of black granite. And inside that was the prize, a coffin made entirely of solid silver. Silver, in ancient Egypt, was often rarer and more valuable than gold. No one had ever found a pharaoh buried in a silver coffin before. This was the moment. As Montet and his team carefully lifted the silver lid, they were the first people in 3,000 years to look upon the face of Pharaoh Susens. And what a face it was! A death mask off sheet gold, exquisitely crafted, staring back at them with calm, eternal authority. The mummy was adorned with golden finger and toe stalls, intricate jewelry, and magnificent necklaces of lapis lazuli and gold. The sheer wealth was staggering. It wasn't just one tomb. In the antechamber, they found the burial of his queen, and next to that, the tomb of another forgotten king, Amenemop, also buried with a golden mask. And then another, General Wenjebouncht, a high official buried with the pharaoh, his coffin overflowing with gold and silver bowls. It was a royal necropolis in miniature, all tucked away in one spot. The initial reports sent back to France were astonishing. The media briefly latched on, hailing it as a discovery on par with Howard Carter's finding of Tutankhamun's tomb 17 years earlier. In many ways, it was even more significant. While Tut's tomb was that of a minor boy king, this was the burial of a powerful, long-reigning pharaoh from a dynasty that ruled a unified Egypt. And unlike Tut's tomb, which had been breached by robbers twice in antiquity, the tomb of Suzanne's was utterly pristine. Not a single object had been disturbed. It was a perfect time capsule of royal burial practices during Egypt's third intermediate period. But history has a cruel sense of timing. The discovery was announced in the spring of 1939. By September 1st, the world's attention was violently wrenched away. The Nazi invasion of Poland ignited World War II. The thrilling news from Tanis was instantly wiped from the front pages, replaced by maps of advancing armies and declarations of war. Montet had to hastily pack up the most precious artifacts and secure the tomb, leaving Egypt as the world descended into chaos. The golden mask of Suzanne's, which should have become as iconic as Tutankhamun's, was instead crated up and stored away for safekeeping at the Cairo Museum. For the next 6 years, while the world fought, the treasures of Tanis waited in the dark. After the war, the world had changed. The appetite for grand archaeological stories had been replaced by the sober task of rebuilding. The momentum was lost, while Tutankhamun's treasures went on a world tour in the 60s and 70s, capturing the public imagination and becoming a global phenomenon. The Pharaohs of Tanis remained in their display cases in Cairo, largely unknown to the general public outside of Egyptology circles. There were no blockbuster exhibitions, no primetime documentaries. The Silver Pharaoh and his golden-masked court were footnotes in history, ghosts overshadowed by a global conflict. So why should we remember them today? Because the tombs of Tanis fundamentally rewrote our understanding of a whole era of Egyptian history. The Third Intermediate Period was long considered a time of decline and division. But the sheer opulence of Suzanne's burial, the solid silver coffin, the gold, the intricate craftsmanship proved that even during this supposed dark age, Egypt's rulers could command immense wealth and resources. It showed a level of artistry and power that scholars had never thought possible for that time. The discovery also confirmed Montet's theory about the relocation of the capital city, revealing how adaptable and resilient the ancient Egyptians were in the face of environmental change. Today, if you visit the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, you can walk into the room that holds the treasures of Tanis. It's often much quieter than the crowded hall that houses Tutankhamun's artifacts. But in its own way, it's even more spectacular. You can stand inches away from the serene gold mask of Suzanne's, stare into the solid silver coffin of Sheshonq II, and admire the delicate jewelry that once adorned these long-forgotten kings. It's a powerful reminder that history is not just about the stories we tell, but also about the stories that get lost, buried by the noise of their own time. The lost pharaohs of Tanis are a testament to the fact that there are always more treasures to uncover, and that sometimes the greatest discoveries are the ones we've simply overlooked. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back in time. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more exploration into forgotten history. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.